Hey everybody out there, what's going on? Jeremy from the Independence Channel. Welcome back to Real Truth. I'm just going to get right into it. My man George Webb, I've used him as a reference on numerous occasions, and we're going to keep up with him here. I'm going to be showing a clip of George Webb back in 2017 describing the Imran Awan scandal, where it was discovered that a Pakistani spy ring was found to be existing in our Congress under Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, the former head of the DNC. If you remember back to the 2016 elections, Debbie Wasserman-Schultz was in charge of the DNC, during which time the DNC goes bankrupt, and in comes Hillary Clinton's campaign machine to inject a large amount of money into the DNC, and they were given basically a lot of authority within the DNC, and essentially it led to Bernie Sanders being robbed of a bunch of states. Anyway, you can read about it in Donna Brazil's book. I think it's called Hacks. Not to promote any of these hack scumbags, because they all are. But anyway, getting back, George Webb has been erased off of Facebook, or YouTube rather, Twitter, all these things on various occasions. He's got numerous books out there that in detail describe how our oligarchic bureaucracy in DC and globally are interconnected privately through the private sectors, the military industrial complex sector, the medical sector. George Webb had called out certain entities' roles in COVID many months ago. It's now being reported as fact now, but back then CNN was actually attacking George Webb for the same things that have been discovered now to be accurate, okay? And I'm not going to get into too many details. I'd really like this video to be able to remain up, as I believe it does a really good job of basically explaining and giving a good example of what the bureaucracy does, who these people are and what they do behind closed doors, and how they seek to undermine our democracy. So George Webb first, and then hang tight after, because directly following there's a clip of Debbie Wasserman-Schultz seeking the very same laptops that George Webb's talking about in his clip. So enjoy both clips, everybody, and enjoy your day. Stay motivated, stay hydrated, and enjoy.
Okay, it's day 350, and this is going to be a short and sweet one. It's going to just be a very simple explanation that you can send to your friends that don't really even know about the spy ring in Congress, the Imran Awan spy ring in Congress. So this is a person that's been close to Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin, Anthony Weiner, been configuring phones for them, Blackberries especially, as well as doing all sorts of pay-to-play exercises for dark weapons and just about everything you can think of as far as Hillary Clinton's rat lines, what we call rat lines. So I'm just going to take you through you being a juror tomorrow morning at 9:30, courtroom 2 at DC District Court. Imran's going to have his, I believe they're going to set a trial date if they didn't already make a deal. I think they made a deal on Friday just based on metadata, but we'll see. Imran Awan and Hina Alvi will be in court. So Thomas Paine will be there live streaming. Hopefully we'll all be able to get a live update for the situation. If I was doing this, if I was the prosecution, I would just basically summarize it all with this one slide. This one slide is, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we have several reports that we have available to us that this court has been blinded from. This court has not been given 5 key reports that will shed light on this case. The first is there was a break-in of the Rayburn office building in a phone booth where there was an illegal network access. We know that there was an illegal access of the network by someone who has been told not to be on the network. That's Imran Awan. So that's the first thing. He's been caught red-handed with the evidence in hand. Okay, caught red-handed. Secondly, they are being tried here for bank fraud. We know there's a credit union investigation for far beyond the 2 homes that are involved and far beyond the 2 mortgages that are involved in this case. That information needs to be presented from the credit union investigation, needs to be presented to this judge and to eventually to the jury. We also know that there's an Inspector General report which talks about 5,100 illegal logins over a 7-month period of time, that Imran, his brother, and a chosen surrogate who was never vetted made into this congressional network. We still don't know if Rayo Abbas, his chosen confederate, which is chosen surrogate, is still accessing the network once an hour. And this is the most sensitive information in the Congress: Foreign Affairs, Intel, and Homeland Security. We also have a witness, another material witness here, this Marine. On April 10th, I interviewed him. He testified, as well as on video, that there was government laptops, Blackberries, and Pride hard drives, illegally stolen, government-marked Pride hard drive, damaged hard drives. That's a sure sign of malicious activity to cover up a crime. You can't see it here because of this strip, but we also have hundreds of pages, hundreds of FBI pages of what they call suspicious activity reports, or SARS. Those are money transfers to Pakistan. It's not for buying real estate in Pakistan and you give little payments every month. No, those suspicious activity reports are for large volumes of money, typically associated with illegal weapons trade and illegal drug trade. We need to see those suspicious activity reports, and the judge needs to see those suspicious activity reports. And then finally, we have proof of several orders. We have a congressional member this morning coming out and saying that this one order of 150 iPhones, which was illegally sent to Imran's house, is the tip of the iceberg, as I have been saying for months. Tip of the iceberg. The court needs to see all the CDW orders that were done through the GSA program, all over a period of 13 years, to get the full totality of how much hacking and doping has been going on in the Congress. Remember, the defendant is not doing this for expediency. He is sending them to Pakistan. The SIM chips are in other operations for other spying operations in other countries like India, have copied those SIMs and put them in an intercept box to intercept all the text and voice communication of different members of Congress. I believe that same thing is going on here. We have another witness at another location that talks about how he may have used a server, a private server, either at this Hawkshead location or at the Sprayer House location. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'd like to present all this evidence before we hear the first word of testimony. I'd like to present all the documentation evidence before we hear the first word of testimony to inform the testimony thereafter, making sure that it's within the parameters of this information. And that's it. So tomorrow we'll see what the judge says. We'll see if the judge considers any of this information. I've tried many times with different legal motions. We may have one more card to play here in the waning hours, but that's my summation. You can send this to your friends. I'm going to be going down to the pay-to-play trial, the Benghazi pay-to-play trial, a little bit later this afternoon, and we'll see where it goes from there.
That plan with me and the process that you're going through to develop it, that would be great. And then lastly, I'd like to know how Capitol Police handle equipment that belongs to a member or a staffer that's been lost within and found or recovered by one of your officers. What happens?
Sure. Well, it's processed on a what's called a PD 81, which is a property record, and depending on the property, depending on how if you can legitimately determine ownership, then it's generally turned back over to the owner of the property. If it's part of an ongoing case, then there are other things that have to occur for that to happen.
So if a member says that they have equipment that's been lost and you find it, it would be returned to the member?
In the general sense, yes.
Okay.
You have to identify. You have to be able to positively identify the property and be able to establish ownership.
Right. And if ownership is established,
if it's part of an ongoing case, then there are additional things that need to be done.
but if the member owns the equipment and there is no ongoing case related to that member, then the equipment is supposed to be returned.
Right. In a general sense, yes.
No, I mean in a specific sense. If the member loses the equipment, says they lose the equipment,
Yes, ma'am.
and it is found by the Capitol Police, it is supposed to be returned.
If ownership has been established,
Right.
it'll be returned. If it's subject to an ongoing investigation, there are additional things
Okay.
that need to be turned
But
over.
not an ongoing investigation related to the member. If the equipment belongs to the member, it has been lost, they say it's been lost and it's been identified as that member's, then the Capitol Police is supposed to return it, correct?
Well, it's not I can't give a yes or no answer on that, because I know.
It's a simple
more
yes or no
parameters.
answer.
Well,
If you if a member loses the equipment,
Yes, ma'am.
and it is found by the Capitol Police or your staff, and it is identified as that member's equipment, and the member is not associated with any case, and that is their equipment, it is supposed to be returned, yes or no?
Depends on the circumstances, and if the circumstances are.
I don't understand how that's possible. Members' equipment is members' equipment. Under my understanding, the Capitol Police is not able to confiscate members' equipment when the member is not under investigation. It is their equipment, and it's supposed to be returned.
Well, I think there's extenuating circumstances in this case, and I think that, working through my counsel and, the necessary personnel, if that in fact is the case, and with the permission of, through the investigation, then we'll return the equipment. But until that's accomplished, I can't return the equipment.
I think you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and should expect that there would be consequences. I yield back.
Gentlemen, thank you for your testimony today.